So most of us probably have heard the story of Adam and Eve and the snake, and snake being the temptation. This story has never really resonated with me growing up. A snake that talks to you. And after I finished reading the book, The Scene Gospels of Peace, the scenes in this book, they talk about the snake not being a snake, like a physical snake that will eat a mouse or something along those lines. They actually talk about the snake being the parasites that live in our gut, and they talk about how about the parasites. They vibrate at a very low frequency. It depends on how much your thought process on and what type of human beings we are, or what we are as human beings. But all human beings, plants, animals, everything, every being on this earth, animal of anything, has a frequency, and we all vibrate at certain levels of certain vibrational fields. Well, supposedly these worms that live inside of us vibrate at such a low frequency. They actually attract lower level thought and actually influence our first thought that comes into our mind. So, for example, a gorgeous looking woman walking down the street, and this is an example more of a guy looking at a gorgeous looking woman going down the street. For a lot of guys, um, his first thought's going to be, I sure would like to bang her. I and it and I've growing up, or as I've gotten older, I've always kind of wondered why is that my first thought? Why is not my first thought? I wonder what her values are. I you know who is she as a human being? I've always wondered why is that my first thought? I would like to just hook up with her. And I've always had issues with that because as I've followed various types of research, for example, Dr. Emoto's experiment with water. As this plays through, we're going to see a couple different crystalline structures. So what he did right here, when he was saying the word love, love, love of love to water, and he froze that water, that type of crystalline structure was shown. When he said thank you and froze it, that type of crystalline structure was created. When he was saying love and appreciation, this type of crystalline structure was created. What's really interesting to this is that our body is about 75 to 80% water. So water has the ability to form various crystalline structures based off of what we say or what we think. Okay, so that was really interesting. When you really think about our thoughts having the ability to change the molecular structure of some of the people around us, and I mean even as you think a little bit further into this, energy is really just magnetic fields. And so when you think about a magnetic field and you think about what a magnet is, what do you think it is? It attracts and it repels. So if we are vibrating at a low, if people are talking crap to us and we feel bad, and we become angry people, at the end of the day, we are going to most likely attract other angry people in our life. We have the saying, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. As you go a little bit further into this, to this experiment right here of you make me sick, I want to kill you. Look at that crystalline structure. It's not even a crystalline structure. It's very difficult to find stability in that water. So how is that water ever going to be doing it to the best of its ability? So supposedly these worms, what I've recently discovered to be Goulian worms, I apologize if I mispronounced it. These worms have actually existed for hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of years, and they go back as literally as far as we can remember it. These worms supposedly again vibrate at such a low frequency that they actually influence our first thought. So in my head, Adam and Eve and a snake, a story being written 2,000, 3,000, however long years ago, trying to describe to people what actually influences our thought, and and everyone knows what a snake looks like out there in the hills, but I mean out there in the in nature. But you know, how do you describe what a snake is inside? They don't have all these medical terms thousands of years ago. You know, a snake is a snake, or a serpent, or whatever way you want to call it. And when I read the Seeing Gospels of Peace, and they described this like this, it just made a lot of sense to me. And I really wanted to gain control over my first thought. I wanted my first thought to be my first thought, because if I go out and do something bad, at least I know that that was my decision. And at the end of the day, I can start to realize what is my intent. If I have control over my first thought and I choose to go out and do something bad, I can't say I didn't know anymore. I know my intent. I know I'm a bad guy. But if I have control over my first thought and I choose, no, this is wrong, and I want to go out and do the right thing, well, that's a big difference. So I ended up researching about a year after getting tons of feedback. I found out that this was actually the type of worm, I believe now, that actually was coming out of me. These worms, over time, what they do is they rob your body of various minerals. Minerals are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Those minerals, elements, whatever you want to call them, those all have various energy fields or magnetic fields. If our body is unable to absorb those minerals, or those worms are potentially robbing us of those minerals, those nutritional that nutrition our body needs, well, we're never going to be running to the best of our ability. So after doing tons of research, I hope this video helps out a little bit more, makes people feel that I'm not as crazy. Here's a great picture of another worm. They got a matchstick and they're just rolling it out of the foot. And there are tons of videos all over the internet now, finally coming out from the Philippines and so on. I just wanted to get you some more information so you guys can take a look at this, and so you guys can further do more research, because all of you guys putting hundreds of posts up on the last video, it has really allowed me to do further research and hopefully find more definitive answers. Uh, Again, parasites, they come from dirty worms, they come I mean dirty water, they come from meat, they come from sushi, they come from various of things around the world. Anything in moderation, of course, is going to be okay, although um, you know, it's your choice. It's your personal health. I'm just trying to get as much information out there as possible for anyone that would like a life change. Thanks so much and have a great day.